Tối ngày mày đi lang thang. Tối ngày mày đi lang thang. This is a phrase that my parents echoed to me throughout my childhood and my adult life. Translated, from nighttime until the morning, you wander aimlessly through life. To be lang thang is to be a vagabond, to be a wanderer, to be a lost soul. Now, I want you all to imagine we are in a civil war. A war where only your countrymen die, and there is no escaping it. If you stay, you will die. Worst off, you will go to an education camp. I'll give you a couple seconds to decide. You want to go? Fantastic. Okay, Roy, this is the plan. We're all going to pile into a fishing boat. It'll probably be over capacity 3 times. It won't have enough fuel to go to any substantial body of land. Here's our plan. We're just going to go into the ocean, hope that a bigger boat picks us up. Most likely 2 or 3 will pass, but hopefully 1 will pick us up. The next best option is when we run out of fuel, that the wind, the current, will take us to a friendly country. Now, you must be asking, what are the dangers of this? That is a good question. First one, starvation, dehydration. The second one, if we come across an unfriendly country, they will hold you at gunpoint, put you back into the ocean. At that point, you will be too exhausted, and you will drown. Oh, I almost forgot. Pirates. I've heard they've been looting all of the boats, gang raping the women, and kidnapping the kids, and then leaving the rest to die. But try to stay positive. We have a chance. Because then after that, we'll become refugees, and hopefully a friendly country will take us into our new home. Oh, so your new home. This is what's going to happen. You won't know the language. You won't know the customs. Your degrees, your jobs, worthless. No cash, no credit card, no bank account. Now, there will be very many generous people that will help you. But the ones that will stick out in your head, those are the people who will ignore you. They will tease you. They will tease your children. They may physically harm you. Regardless, however long you stay in your new home, you will forever be a foreigner. This is what is called racism. Now, this is how you will get your new start. This is not my story, but the story of many of the Vietnamese refugees that left during the war, among them, my parents. So, my mom, educated in a French convent, ran an orphanage that took care of the misplaced Montagnard children during the war. In 1975, she said goodbye to her mother for one last time, never to see her again. My father, no parents, no family, no history. In 1975, he left the country and said goodbye to no one. Now, one final piece about my father is that he was raised by no one except the streets of Jalan. This is the Chinese business district of Saigon. So as they came here and met and started a family, I was born. And throughout my whole life, I've watched my parents try to adapt to their new home. And I still continue to watch my parents adapt to their new home. I watched them struggle. I watched them endure. I watched them be frustrated. I watched them be angry. I watched them be tired. And I watched them be exhausted. And in the end, I realized they gave up their life, they gave up their dreams for me. So growing up as an immigrant's son, I didn't know Santa Claus, no Easter Bunny, no basically Halloween, none of that. But I did learn a couple lessons that maybe some other kids didn't learn. So a lot of kids ask me, growing up, do you know Kung Fu? At the time, I didn't know Kung Fu, but I knew my dad's Saigon street defense strategy. So, first scenario is this. Multiple attackers. You have no time to prepare. right hand. Use belt, buckle, out. 3 stripes, left hand. Rock, brick, knife, compass, pencil, pen, sand, dirt. All the above. Strike with left first, to grin your teeth, to lock your jaw. This is what I learned as a kid. There was no Halloween, there was no Santa Claus. But this was balanced out by my mother. If you say your prayers in Vietnamese, in French, in English, and pray for the soul of your grandmother, and you pray that you grow up to be a good boy and listen to your parents. Now, listen to your parents. So I hate to say it, but growing up, I was embarrassed of my parents. I was embarrassed of their accent, the way they looked, the way that I looked. I was embarrassed by our social status. I remember clearly the car, light blue, old Rabbit, rusted out floorboards, no AC, drooping headliner. That means dust is always in your eye, regardless, instantly when you get into the car. Now, at the time, I feel horrible saying this, but I would duck my head every time I would go in and out of the school because I didn't want to be seen in this car. And now thinking back about it, I can't imagine the pain, how little I made my parents feel at that time, how helpless it was. But I had my own problems to worry about. I didn't want to bring any more attention to myself. I didn't look like those other white guys, light skin, light hair, light eyes. At the same time, I was born here, so I wasn't so small like the other Vietnamese guys. My dad introduced me. This is my son. He is so big because I fed him water buffalo milk. So I endured, and I tried to find my way, and I was on a real roll. Bachelor's mechanical engineering, master's industrial engineering, married a good Vietnamese girl, PhD candidate in engineering, good job, big company, admitted into law school. All this by 28. Now, in 2003, it was my first taste of mortality. A close family member of mine, a nephew named Christopher Wakkan Nguyen, was diagnosed with bone cancer at the age of 10. July 29th, 2006, he passes away. Now, it's still ingrained in my head. I'm haunted by it. I can still hear his mother wailing, beating her chest, lying on the ground. And I can still see the soul sucked out of his father's eyes, even till today. And again, this was the quickest reminder, watching parents mourn the death of their child, that nothing surmounts, nothing surpasses the love that parents have for their child. But at the same time, witnessing death is the clearest way to understand that life is very short. So again, I'm conflicted. Life is short. But my parents have sacrificed everything for me. So then I question, what am I doing? Who am I working with? Why am I dressed like this? Why am I traveling around the world? For what cause? And slowly it begins to disintegrate. I become angry. I am my father in 1985. I become frustrated. I am my mother in 1987. I become a drunk. I become angry. I become self-destructive. And it comes together at the end of 2008 into 2009. 2009 is my parents' worst year of their life. I quit the PhD program. I quit work. I quit my marriage. I quit going to church. I probably quit some gym membership that year. So this is how I repay my parents, your son, the quitter. The end of 2010 into 2011. In 2010, this is the second worst year of my parents' life. I bought the house next to them as their neighbor, but now I decided that I want to move. So I move. And then I move in with two guys that are more lang tang than me. Their names Bao and Zui Wing. So at this time, I'm 30, unemployed. I'm broke. I'm sleeping in a lobby, 404 Reading, over the Rhine. And besides one glimmering moment, I do meet a girl. But besides that, this is how I repay my parents. Your son, the broke loser. So then by the end of 2010, going into 2011, we think it's a good idea, my partners and I, we borrow $5,000 each. So with $15,000, we basically go out to Home Depot to buy some materials. We go on Craigslist to find kitchen equipment. And then with a couple help of some friends, we decide it's a good idea. We want to open a Vietnamese restaurant. For what? Because we want a place to eat. So, now my dad's new introduction. This is my son. He quit his job so he can cook pho with his two friends. Now, beginning of 2012, this is the start of their fourth worst year. I graduate from law school, but I don't take the bar. Dreams of my father, me, working for a firm. Prognosis, not likely. However, I tell him, I think it's a good idea that I want to do another restaurant. Wang Hapa. What's that? It's a Asian street food gastropub. Okay, well, my new introduction, this is my son. He wants to hang out and eat hộp Việt Long. That means eats fertilized eggs. He wants to drink Heineken and Hennessy with his friends and smoke cigarettes. This is my son. And he's the big guy, not because of water buffalo milk, because he's fat and lazy. That's what he's thinking. So through all this, the toughest thing that I ever had to face wasn't being broke. It actually wasn't even, the toughest thing was being Asian or going to an all-white male school. The toughest thing was actually facing my parents, disappointing them. But in all of this, in all my lang tang life, I've come to some realization that their greatest gift to me wasn't their sacrifice. Their greatest gift to me was my life. That means my heart beating with a definite amount. My set of lungs with a certain amount of breaths. And then a brain that can think, can solve problems, and that can make an impact and can change. Now, probably that brain contained too many degrees to cook pho. I don't need those. And lastly, a soul that they filled with anger, but compassion. A soul that they filled with frustration, but with love. And they filled it with a spirit that yearns to live. Now, I wish I had like a better ending to this, but, I found my way. I'm not lang tang anymore. I know what I'm going to do with my life, but I don't have such an ending, basically. I found that a lot of people are lang tang. I found more friends to be lang tang with. And that girl that I met in 2010, she turns out to be quite magnificent. She's a life partner, so she keeps me grounded. Which actually, and I rest a little bit easier because I think that life is a journey. And in this journey, you wander, you get lost. But the most important thing is to realize that you don't want to do the journey to get to the end, because at the end of that journey, that's your funeral. So it's more important to really enjoy the journey, enjoy the experiences, collect them, and do all the things that you want your friends and your family to say at your eulogy at the end of the journey. So, brings us second part, 2012, present day. Miraculously, the best year now of my parents' life. In July, on Friday the 13th, my daughter and their granddaughter, Margot Phung Wang Underhill Lei, was born. Her name is a mouthful, and she herself is a handful. But who would have known? Finally, my debt, I feel, is like partially repaid to them. But who would have thought that if you think about it, in the eyes of the church, this illegitimate child brings basically the most happiness that I was be able to do in 4 years. But then now I lay in my bed and I think, Margot, how will your Langtang father be around you? What can I teach you? Will I pass on to you my anger, your grandfather's anger? Will I pass on to you my frustrations, your grandmother's frustrations? What will I do? How will I protect you? How will I feel if you want to quit your job to go cook pho with your friends? But then, I think to myself, Margot, I will do what my parents have taught to me. Your grandparents have taught to me. And what is that? That I will love you unconditionally. And until my last breath, until my last heartbeat, I will sacrifice anything for you if needed. I will sacrifice my life to protect you. And then I will live my life that someday that you will be proud of and that you will share with the world. And yes, I will share some of your grandpa's self-defense moves. And then yes, I will ask your grandma to pray for your salvation and then pray that you find your way. This is my Langtang life. Thank you.